Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Delray Yarborough. Yarborough was shot and killed on Sunday, March 8, 2015, in the 11,900 block of York Avenue in Hawthorne, according to LA County coroner records. Tabner Cook was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. On the evening of March 8, 2015, the victim's sister was sitting in her parked car on York Avenue in Hawthorne when she saw two men, whom she later identified as defendant and Najee Robinson, walking up and down nearby driveways. The sister testified it looked like they were aggressive and looking anxious to do something. They approached her car and defendant said, "Hey bitch, where you from?" The sister understood this to mean what gang she was from. The sister, a grandmother, told them she didn't gangbang. Defendant then walked away towards a group having a barbecue outside a nearby apartment building. Robinson told the sister they were looking for someone, then followed defendant to the barbecue. The sister responded that she was going to call the police. The sister got out of her car and called the police, but hung up before speaking to anyone. Shortly thereafter, her brother, victim Yarborough, came over and asked her about the men. She told the victim they were gangbanging. He told her to be careful. Defendant then approached a group of people playing dominoes. A woman in the group asked defendant if he was the person who had thrown a brick through her family's apartment window a week earlier. Defendant replied that he was and said he would do it again. Defendant then asked, "What kind of party is this? It's 11-8 hood." No one responded. The woman testified it got quiet. Defendant and Robinson left the barbecue soon thereafter. Defendant then encountered the victim and his sister on the street. The sister testified that defendant told the victim in an aggressive, anxious, and scary tone of voice, "This 11-8 cuz," and asked where he was from. After the victim responded that he didn't gangbang, defendant shook his hand and returned to the barbecue. A few seconds later, defendant came back and said, "That's the bitch that said she was going to call the feds." Defendant kept walking away, however, until the victim said, "Let me know when you want that," in his direction. The sister understood the victim's words as a challenge to fight. Defendant said, "Get the car," and Robinson ran away toward a nearby elementary school. Defendant then approached the sister and the victim. The sister stood between the victim and defendant, facing defendant. The victim forcefully pushed her out of the way and onto the ground. Seconds later, she heard 3 or 4 gunshots and saw the victim on the ground. The sister saw defendant walk away toward the elementary school and heard a car engine start. The victim, who was dragging himself onto the sidewalk, told her to get down because they were turning around. She saw a newer model metallic blue Nissan Maxima or Altima make a U-turn and drive toward them. The car stopped near them and she heard the driver, Robinson, say, "Oh shit," before he took off toward 120th Street. Paramedics transported the victim to the hospital, where he died. The victim sustained 2 gunshot wounds, including one to his left hip that fatally lacerated his femoral artery and vein. The parties stipulated that the 2 bullets the medical examiner recovered from the victim's body were fired from a single firearm, consistent with a .380. Hawthorne police quickly arrived on the scene. They located 3 expended shell casings near where the victim had been. The parties stipulated that the 3 shell casings were .380 caliber and were fired from a single firearm. Officer Jorge Martinez interviewed the sister, who described the 2 men, her interactions with them, and their car before leaving to the hospital. While the sister was at the hospital, she received a text message from her friend Dove. The message contained a picture of a cell phone displaying the photograph of the defendant. Dove told the sister he had found the phone at the scene of the shooting. The sister told Dove he should give the phone to the police. When she returned to the scene around 11 p.m., she saw Dove. He told her that he had given the phone to police. She also showed the photograph on her phone to Officer Martinez and told him it depicted the shooter. On July 9, 2015, at Detective Hernandez's direction, LA County Deputy Sheriff Bryce Chalmers arrested defendant during a traffic stop. Defendant was driving a Nissan Altima at the time. After his arrest, defendant was transported to jail and placed in a cell with 2 civilian agents who had been briefed about his case. Defendant's conversation with the agents was audio recorded, and excerpts were played for the jury. At the time of the incident, York Avenue was claimed by 2 rival gangs, the 11-8 Gangster Crips and the Acacia Block Hustlers. The 11-8 Gangster Crips was actually an alliance of 3 different gangs: the 11-8 Rider Gangster Crips, the Mad Ass Gangster Crips, and the Hawthorne Thug Family. Based on a hypothetical that mirrored the facts of this instant case, Detective Jackson opined that the March 8, 2015 shooting of the victim was committed for the benefit of the gang. Defendant's first trial ended in a mistrial after the jury hopelessly deadlocked. Following the second trial, the jury found defendant guilty of second-degree murder and found the gang and gun allegations true. The court sentenced defendant to 40 years to life. Delray Yarborough was 38 years old at the time of death.